Hello and welcome to Upstack America's Oracle EBS Financials Functional Training. My name is Bob and I'm the lead senior consultant for Upstack America. And with me today I have Victor, who is also a senior consultant. And today we are handling lesson 25 of accounts payables module. Victor, please walk us through.
Thank you, Bob, for the introduction, and welcome everybody to this lesson in our Oracle Financials Functional Training series. In this session, we're going to look at putting an invoice hold at the supplier site level, which we talked about as part of our manual holds overview. We are also going to see how to set an invoice amount limit at the supplier site, and what happens when you do so. So in our previous session, we talked about types of invoice holds, and we say that we have manual holds and system holds. We said under manual holds that we can place manual holds at the supplier site level. We can have one at the invoice level for individual invoices, and you can also put a hold on scheduled payment under a thing that belongs to one invoice. Okay. So we saw how to do the latter two at the invoice level and at the scheduled payment, but we did not get a chance to look at how we can put a hold on invoices at the supplier site. At the supplier site level, we have this option of putting a hold on invoices. And as we are going to see, when you put this hold, you have three options on which invoices are going to be affected once this hold goes into effect. So you can put a hold on all the invoices at the supplier site. You can also put a hold on all unvalidated invoices under that supplier site, or you can put a hold under, unmatched invoices belonging to that supplier site. We also said that unmatched invoices refers to invoices which have not been matched to a purchasing order, and therefore you have to have a purchasing module to have this matching feature. Now, going back to the meaning of a hold, it prevents an invoice from being paid temporarily until that hold is removed or the invoice is what we call released. Okay. When you put a hold on invoices at the supplier site level, what happens? Holds prevent invoices from being paid, but what invoices are stopped from being, what kind of payments are prevented? So we know that for payment creation, we have three broad methods which we talked about. Namely, you can have manual creation from the invoice screen, whereby you navigate from the invoice screen by pressing the actions button and select pay in full. Okay. You also have going to the payment screen, and on that payment screen you can select multiple invoices under the condition that they belong to the same supplier. All right. And then we have the payment, the pay run method, or what we did by submitting the payment process request, which allows you to pick up multiple invoices depending on the invoice selection criteria. And these invoices can belong to different suppliers. Now, under these creation methods, for example, when you navigate from the invoice screen and go to the payment screen to pay a single invoice, you are usually asked to select a payment method. All right, and we saw this. We have a quick payment, we have a manual, and we have a refund, I believe. So when you place a hold on invoices at the supplier site, what kind of payments are stopped? Manual pay, all other payments apart from manual payments are stopped. So you can't do a quick payment, and you can't do the pay run from the payment manager or the payment process request. Okay. What do we mean by manual? Manual payments means that the check is not being printed from the printer through the command that we give when we are submitting a payment. That is, the payment instruction is not being produced by the system and being printed on the check. Rather, you are taking a check and writing it by hand and sending it to the vendor. Okay, so that's what manual payments means. When you select the manual payment option here, then you're telling the system that you won't be printing the check from the printer, but rather you're writing it, and here you're just recording the fact that this payment is being done against this invoice. So, of course, the system won't stop you from writing a check, but it will stop you from printing one because that's what it can control. So, the supplier side hold prevents quick payment. It will prevent an invoice from being picked up by a payment process request, but it won't prevent you from making a manual payment. So that's just an overview of some of the issues that surround holds placed at the supplier site. So what we are going to do now is we are going to go and place a hold at our supplier site. We have only one, and then we are going to come and try to make a payment. Okay. Of course, we will be allowed to enter invoices, but we won't be allowed to pay them. That's what a hold does. It prevents invoices from being paid. So let me log in. What we are going to do, so okay, let's go to suppliers, then entry. Then let's search for our supplier here, which we know is Mjengo. So this is our supplier. We have a site, Mjengo, in Jacksonville. Under the sites, we have key purchasing setups and key payment setups. So you will want to click this button that says key payment setups. And now here you will see this option, hold from payment, all invoices, unmatched invoices, or unvalidated invoices. So we'll pick this all invoices option, which means any invoice entered under for this site will not be picked up by a pay run process or a quick payment. Here you can also enter the reason for the hold. So when you're placing a hold at the supplier site, maybe there's a dispute with this particular vendor or supplier, and therefore you have decided you won't be paying any of their invoices until your conflict or whatever issue you have with them is resolved. So you can say here, The reason is a dispute or conflict. Conflict sounds very violent. So let's say dispute. Dispute with vendor is the reason we are putting all invoices under this site on hold. We can also use this tab here, these options here. Okay. So let's save. Changes to quick update have been saved. So if we enter invoices under this site, which is the only site we have under this supplier, then if we start any payment procedure, then we won't be able to pay any invoices. And let's go and find out whether that is true. So what we want to do is go to invoice batches. So let me look at these invoices that we have here already. So you have these two invoices batches that we created in our previous session. Mascani hold test 1 and hold test 2. Let's see what the status of these invoices is. So we have two scheduled payments here. This scheduled payment has a hold. Let's remove this hold. Okay. And let's save our work. Go to holds. So any holds here have been removed. So let's try and pay this. Let's try and pay this. Pay in full. It brings you to the payments page. So we said we want to go ahead and do, okay, under the payment types, we have quick, manual, and refund. So we said the quick payment will not be allowed, okay? Let's enter this information to test this theory. So we have payment date, can pick system date, bank account is Mascani something, payment method is check, the hold all payments options is enabled for the supplier site. You can pay invoices entered for the supplier site only by using a manual payment. Control the hold all payments option in the supplier sites window. So this is basically telling you that you have decided to put a hold on all payments. Okay. So if you want to make payments, then you have to do a manual payment or remove the hold. Okay. No. So we have seen that we cannot do a quick payment. Let's test this theory on the pay run process. Let's go to payments, entry payments manager. Let's do a quick um, this is one that we had done before. So let me complete this. We remember this one. It's the one for $80 that we have been using. So are you sure you want to confirm the print as final? So we have completed that one. We had started that payment process request before. So let's try to create a new one. I just wanted to get that one out of the way. Okay. So we can go. Oh, sorry, we want to create a new one. So submit single request. Let's use the template that we created last time. That's the only template there. It pre-fills this option. Pay through date is today. We should have a scheduled payment with a due date of this date, so that's good. And we can submit this because all the other attributes have been filled up by a template. So submit. So what is our expectation here? Our expectation is that we won't be able to complete this payment because we have put a hold on all the invoices belonging to this supplier site, and therefore what we will get is we won't get a need action, but rather we'll get user terminated. So hopefully that goes as planned, and there you see user terminated. Maskani pay run 5, no invoices are selected. Okay. No, it says even no search conducted. All right. So because of the hold, no invoices were picked up. However, if you go to the payment screen and let's query your operating unit. Let's go through the invoices. So we go to the invoice. Nothing has been paid. If we go to actions, pay in full, and we select this as manual. What's the payment date? Payment method is check. Payment process profile should be Mascani, some Mascani check. Speak a document in combination with payment process profile. Okay. Let's try and save this. This keeps happening. We just need to keep entering these values, and so you see the manual one has gone through. Okay. You can see the payment has been done. The status is negotiable. All right, these are the payments. If you go to the invoice, to the invoice workbench, you will see the status is 100 has been paid. Okay, so manual payments will go through, but the quick payments or the payments which require the checks to be printed rather than written manually will not be picked up. So we have seen how to put a hold at the supplier site and the effect that it has on the invoices that we have. So now what I want us to look at is how to put an invoice limit at the supplier site, an invoice amount limit. We are looking at this because when we put a limit here and that limit is exceeded, then a hold is placed. So holds are still in the picture. So we need to go to the supplier screen. And go to this key payment setups tab, and here is where we put the limit. So we can say, for example, we don't want any invoices for this supplier site to exceed $100. We also need to remove this hold. Then we can save our work. So we're removing holds at the supplier site, meaning payments can be made, but we have put an invoice limit, which means invoices with amounts higher than this will be put on hold. They will not be paid. And let's save our work. Okay. So let's try entering an invoice. Go to invoices. Invoice amount, let's put 150. You enter an invoice amount that exceeds the invoice limit for the supplier. An amount hold will automatically be applied to this invoice and will prevent payment. Okay, so you get that note even before you complete this. Let's finish it. Scanning net 30. Let's go to the lines and enter 150. Let's enter the distribution account. This is a different, see whether we have an account here that we haven't used. Use this meals account. Okay. So now a system hold will be placed. We said that a system hold is usually placed when we try to do what? When we try to validate. So that a problem is found and a hold is placed, which is only removed after the problem has been solved and the invoice revalidated. So let's validate this. Status needs revalidation and there's one hold. Let's go to the holds. Here's the hold name held by system, therefore cannot be manually removed. So actually, maybe this particular hold name has a manual option. So that's why you remember when we are creating holds, we could enable manual release. So I think this invoice hold has that option, and therefore you can manually release this hold. Okay, so this maybe enables a manager to come and look at the invoice and say, even though it exceeds the limit for this particular site, we can still pay it after putting the manager, after the manager has looked at it, they release it and they'll have a stamp of their username here showing, okay? However, you have seen that a hold is automatically placed by the system once that limit is exceeded. Anyway, we have completed the objectives of this lesson, and therefore, unless Bob, you have anything to add, we can end this session here.
Thank you.
Thank you.